Congratulations to the Elite Eight. There will be 8 schools from Miami-Dade and Broward counties that'll be heading to the state playoffs here in high school baseball, representing South Florida. They will be competing in 7 classifications. So one class, we got 2 schools will be going over to Fort Myers. And that's going to be the focus today on the Curtain Call podcast here on Man on Second's YouTube channel. And it's been an exciting week. This will be the regional finals recap. We will run down the schools that have advanced. We'll have some thoughts on it. I was at a couple of the series. But before we dive too deeply in, let's take care of some business. Please like and subscribe to the Man on Second YouTube channel. Growing fast. Big numbers, and it should be real exciting. I will be in Fort Myers at Hammond Stadium, which is the spring training site of the Minnesota Twins. It's also where the Mighty Muscles, I believe, their minor league affiliate, plays. So we will be there. It'll be my 3rd straight year going. It's been a lot of fun going over there. I'll be going with my buddy Andre Fernandez of the Miami Herald, so follow all the content there at the Miami Herald as well. But for this show, let's kind of dive right in. The regional finals were like the semifinals, the best of 3, and it really taxed because they played the games Friday, one game Friday, and then potentially game 2 would be Saturday with potential doubleheader on Saturday. Couple of these went the doubleheader. Even the game, it was scorching hot. Anybody who was at the fields on Saturdays can attest. The kids really felt it. It's a real factor. It's going to be something I'm sure the state will deal with in future years as they continue this, but I think they won't change it for now. Friday, doubleheader Saturdays, or I understand it's late in the school year. Some kids will be graduating, in some schools will be graduating within a few days, let alone a few weeks. So they feel a lot of kids have been out of school because of for baseball. So you miss one day of school and you can play a doubleheader potentially on Saturday. That creates its own headaches. But it was an exciting weekend. And let's kind of run it down. We got 8 schools, as noted, will be going in 7 classifications. Let's start at 7A, the highest level, the bigger schools. Stoneman Douglas is returning for looking to make a 6-peat. They won 5 in a row, reigning 5-time champs. They're going to be going for 6. In 6A, St. Thomas Aquinas, man, did they have a nail biter against Miami Southridge, but escaped winning that series in 3. Douglas also won their series in 3, winning game 1, losing game 2, winning game 3. 5A, Mater Academy Charter, they swept Archbishop McCarthy. 4A, American Heritage, they returned. They swept Somerset Academy. 3A, Miami Springs, defending 3A champs, will be returning. They were the 8th seed. Good for Miami Springs. They knocked off Gulliver Prep. And this is our classification where 2 of our schools. So Miami Springs from Miami-Dade County is going, and then they were in Region 4. All the schools I mentioned so far are in Region 4. The only school isn't in Region 4. In Region 3 is North Broward Prep. And they went up to Calvary Christian Clearwater. 1-3, big upset there. Big upset. Everyone thought Calvary Christian, especially North Broward Prep, won on Friday. They lost the first one. They actually had a chance. They kind of blew the lead in the last inning, but then in the final game, they held on to win and take that region. So there will be 2 3A schools. So we'll see how the seedings come out and whether they can meet in if they meet in the semifinals or would meet potentially in the championship game. 2A, True North Classical Academy, they swept Chaminade Madonna. And then in 1A, Schoolhouse Prep, they knocked off Brito in 2 games. Just for a background, last year, South Florida, meaning Miami-Dade and Broward counties. I know there are schools from Palm Beach County. Last year, Jupiter went up there, and St. Andrews. They also went to the Final Four. And to some there, yes, they're in South Florida, but I'm more specific, Broward, Miami-Dade, for the purposes of this podcast. And we sent 6 schools last year from the 2 counties I just mentioned, the biggest counties. And of the 6, one lost in the semifinal round. The other 5 advanced to the championship. All 5 won state titles. So 5-0 Miami and Broward a year ago in championship games. The funny thing about what I just read off, all 5 of those state champions are going back and have a chance to win yet again. So either repeat or three-peat or six-peat in the case of Stoneman Douglas. Congratulations. So those schools are Stoneman Douglas 7A, St. Thomas Aquinas won it all in 6A, Mater Academy Charter 5A won it all last year. Going back, 4A American Heritage won it all. They're back. 3A Miami Springs, they're back. So we shall see how that plays out. Again, it should be really exciting. But unlike what we just talked about in the regions, the semifinals and championship are one game, single elimination, one and done. So you got to go, you got to bring it, and let's kind of dive deeply into 7A. I was up at Stoneman Douglas on Friday, watching Eagles play West Broward. What a great school, West Broward. What a great series that was. Game 1 featured the pitching matchup everyone wanted to see. You had Gio Rojas, Douglas's great left-hander, going against Ivan Sabater of West Broward, both University of Miami commits. Obviously, Gio, it looks like will go very high in the first round. So, and Ivan's being looked at by a lot of pros as well. So, chance that both of them are drafted. In that first inning, Douglas won that game 7-1. In terms of the score, obviously not as close. I thought that'd be kind of an epic game. I wouldn't have been surprised if that was a 1-0, 2-1 type of game. But Gio, keep in mind, Gio lost, or like the third game of the year, Gio lost this pitching matchup at home to West Broward. And Gio doesn't need much motivation to get up, but he was ultra motivated and dominated in that performance, giving up 1 run in 7 innings against a great lineup. Ivan wasn't as sharp. He just wasn't. He was a little erratic, but still really, really good pitcher. Defensively, wasn't West Broward's best effort. They gave up 3 runs in the first inning. Some of it was balls hit with defensive positioning where guys were shifted over somewhere. And if it would have been more of a traditional position, they would have probably gotten the out. But great at-bats by Stoneman Douglas. Great approach against Ivan, attacking him early in the counts. And just, it started off with Cade Rowley, their terrific leadoff hitter, second baseman, shortstop, who's real energizer, gets things going. But that was a very motivating game. And again, lots of scouts. I'd say 15, 20 area type scouts or cross checkers and, people who will be doing the draft, paying very much attention. So super game that was. Game 2, on Saturday, they played at 11 a.m. It looked like it was going to be a Douglas sweep. They jumped out. I think they had a home run the first inning. They were up 6-1 early. But West Broward's hitting, do not underestimate it. A.J. Cruz had 2 homers in that game. Manuel Sarcos homered. And it was West Broward rallying 12-7 was that final score. And West Broward forced the game 3, which now becomes a complete endurance test. Let me go back first with in game 1, because I see here in my notes, Gio Rojas, 10 strikeouts in that game, 7 innings, 1 earned run. So sets it up for do or die, game 3, winner take all. Winner goes to Fort Myers. Losers season ends. Also, I have to give some props for Adrian Bermudez, game 2, 5 1/3 innings, 2 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts. Great job by Adrian Bermudez there, coming in. And now we're going to the tough one. Everyone's kind of on fumes because they've been playing 2 games within 24 hours. Now it's going to be a 3rd game, excruciating heat. And Sean Torres, a sophomore, comes up with a big 3-run homer in the first inning for Douglas, and that was really the boost they needed. I understand that there's some cramping going on, and Manuel Sarcos had to leave the game, which is a big blow for West Broward, and it's tough on these catchers to have to catch 3 games, especially in the heat. And so that, we hope Manu recovers well and is back doing what he does. I'm sure he will. But Drew Boyven, the right-hander for Douglas, pitched great. Drew missed a lot of the year. He's a really good pitcher who moved in from out of state. He moved down here, was looking for a big senior year, dealt with injury, but keep an eye on Drew Boyven. He's going to be a big factor in Fort Myers because this kid is a kind of a frontline pitcher. And with him throwing well, really, really makes Douglas, puts them in an enviable spot to win their sixth straight. So Douglas takes that series. I was at Friday's game. I wasn't there Saturday. Saturday, I was over at American Heritage. They were facing Somerset Academy, just a really good series, even though Heritage won both games. And the first game was Friday, the game I wasn't at, but that was the Brady Snow show. Brady Snow is right up there with Gio, with a guy who could be a first or second round pick. Gio, obviously, on the draft boards is higher than Brady. Brady's a right-hander. Through 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, no walks, just dominant performance in game 1. 9-0 victory for American Heritage. And from what I hear from people there, they were saying that Brady looked like he could have been pitching and, at a double-A type of level and dominated the hitters. It was a terrific performance by Brady. Setting up Saturday, noon start. Again, really hot day. Let's give some props in game 1 to David Saladino, Heritage's catcher, 3 hits in that game. Gavin Ruvalcaba hit a grand slam in that game. So that's kind of how Heritage kind of sees control. But the way Brady threw the complete game, they didn't need more than 1 run to win that one. Game 2, different story. This was a thriller. And Somerset Academy, those who haven't followed them closely, are gritty. They don't quit. They went on the road. They were 6th seed. They went to Key West and eliminated them in 3 games. They are battle tested. They feature one of the best players in Florida in John Mora, left-handed hitting outfielder / second baseman, who's another kid. We'll talk about it more as we lead into the draft. But this kid, John Mora, may be the toughest out in the state. And meaning just to get him out is really hard. He hit over 520. He had like 50 hits, which in a 31 or 32 game season, that's remarkable to have 50 hits in a high school season. He also had a bunch of doubles, some triples, some homers. He's not necessarily a power guy, but there's power in there. He's got speed. This kid can do everything. And so they are very formidable. And they did what you expected them to do. I'm moving my cat. If you see me doing stuff, I don't want my cat to knock me offline. You might see my cat's tail in here. Les, get down. Get off. Move. Heads up. My cat wants to be the star. Let's put Laz on the show for a minute. There we go. Laz isn't real happy, but there he is. There he is. Okay, now go down. All right, you get the real deal here on the Curtain Call podcast. Even my cat wants to get into the picture. Don't want him to knock me offline. So where was I? I was talking about Somerset. Heritage gets 3 runs in the top of the first inning of game 2. Angelo Giraldo had an amazing game. He had a 2-homer game. He had a 3-run bomb in the first inning. And then Somerset battles back. Mora gives a drag bunt single off Mason McGeehan, the fine lefty for Heritage, who really had a battle every inning. He was dealing. It wasn't his best day, but this is what makes Mason so effective. He is great at minimizing and giving you innings and giving everything he's got, even if on a day his stuff isn't his best stuff. And so Somerset chipped back, made it 3-2. Then Heritage went up 4-3. I think it was Angelo drove in another run there. I think that's how they got the lead again, and it held. And then because keep in mind the lower seed, which in this case is Somerset, they were the home team, even though the game was played American Heritage, so they had the last at bat. Then in the top of the 7th, Heritage added on. They got like what I said, they were up 4-3, 5-4, whatever it was. Then they got it. They had like a 4 or 5 run inning and made it 9-3. And Anthony Lyman had a huge three-run double. I think it was a double. I don't think it was a triple. Which kind of you felt broke the game open, made it 9-3. Mason went out to start the next inning. The bottom of the seventh gives up a leadoff homer, and after that they go to the bullpen, and it was pretty rocky. And trouble throwing strikes, giving up hits. And next thing you know, Somerset finds itself with the bases loaded in a 9-6, and with one out, Santiago Montiel comes in, the lefty. He gets the kid on a full count. Keep in mind, if he walks him here, it's 9-7 with one out, and Somerset's the home team on the scoreboard, so they could literally walk this game off. He gets the kid on a full count to hit a comebacker to the mound. He goes home to Saladino for two on the first base for a 1-2-3 double play to end the ball game and end the series and send American Heritage back to Fort Myers for the fourth straight year. Interesting ride for Heritage, because they went 4 years ago and beat Jesuit. Then the year after, they lost to Jesuit. Then last year, they won it all. Jesuit was favored to get back in the title game, but they ended up beating someone else, I forgot, in the championship game, drawing a blank. They beat Arnold, I think, in the semifinals. But now Heritage is back looking for a repeat and their third title in 4 years. So we'll see how that plays out. But again, that's how that series played out. Now let's go over to 6A. 6A, wow. St. Thomas Aquinas, Southridge gave them everything. St. Thomas Aquinas, though, they know how to win. They know how to. There's obviously no quit. No quit in any of these teams. It's cliche when you hear that stuff, no quit. But for some reason, they got, when their backs are to the wall is when they play their best, and they really were pushed. They beat Southridge 3-2 on Friday, and they were even down 2-0 in the sixth inning of that game. Nico Sabatino had a home run. Julian Diaz went 7 innings with 8 Ks and gave up the 2 earned runs, and did a great job. And still, St. Thomas found a way. Then in game 2, it was all Southridge, 14-2. Then it comes down to game 3, and actually, let me just give some props to Isaac Vidal he had 6 innings, 2 earned runs, and 14 strikeouts. So completely dominant in game 2. So game 3 comes around, and it's 5-3 at one point late, and St. Thomas makes a 5-4, then enters the last inning down a run, and Nico Sabatino had 3 hits in that game, and they tied it up in the 7th inning on a bases loaded walk, I believe. And then in the 8th inning, Brady Bucksbaum is pitching. He's their fine first baseman, power hitting threat. He gets out of it. He keeps his score there. So bottom of the 8th inning, in a tie game, it was Jake Carruthers with a walk-off walk. And Jake Carruthers has come up clutch a lot this year. So congratulations to Jake. Congratulations to the Raiders. They are headed back. Miami Southridge, man, what a great season. They really, really established themselves. A really good program. Gave St. Thomas all they could handle. And now they go on to Fort Myers. Let's go to 5A, where Mater Academy Charter, again, the defending champs, heavily favored against Archbishop McCarthy. And first game, they win 5-0. Then in the second game, McCarthy's kind of was holding their own. They're leading. I believe they were up 9-4 at one point. McCarthy in the top of the 6th, and then they gave up 3 runs in the 6th, and then 3 more runs in the 7th. And Mater Academy has an explosive offensive team, and they eliminated the Mavericks. For McCarthy, Joey Shapiro, who had a great playoffs, he hit a home run. He had a couple of home runs the week before in the semifinals against Pembroke Pines Charter. Robert Kearns had 2 hits. For Mater Academy, Brian Mesa had a home run and 3 RBIs. So again, that's another one of these really good young players. I think Brian's a sophomore, so a couple more years, and this kid, another one who'd be talked about as one of the best players in the state. Already is for his class for sure. So we'll be talking more about Mater Academy Charter, and we'll have highlights from them when we get to Fort Myers. Let's go to 2A, where it was kind of a rough go. I thought this series was going to be really competitive and really close with two evenly matched teams. With Chaminade Madonna taking on True North Classical Academy. But both games, it was all True North Academy, Classical Academy. They won 12-0 in game one with William Foss throwing the shutout. In game two, it was kind of more of the same as 12-3. Mateus Fisher had a triple, and just all around, just great performance team wise by True North Classical, and they find themselves going to the state playoffs. Tough way to end the season for Chaminade, a school that I saw a lot this year, and Jerry Albert did a great job with that program, and in his first year, really good players and a really good team, but it was it was a rough go in the regional finals. And then we go over to 3A, and they were playing this, as I noted earlier, Calvary Christian Clearwater. So North Broward Prep had to make the trip over to Clearwater, win game one. Alex Smith homered in that game. Jack Rostock went 7 innings with 6 strikeouts in the shutout. Game two, it was again North Broward Prep had a lead late and had a chance to win it in two. Didn't. And on the road, you really fear that. Momentum shifts to the home team. You're not home. You don't know how the umpiring is going to be. You don't know how the weather is going to be, how your player's going to hold up. Your catching is getting, worn out as more than anyone because they're wearing the gear and then crouching and all that other good stuff. And yet, it was North Broward Prep 8-7, holding on even in the last inning. A leadoff walk. They would think they had 2 on. I think they had second and third, or maybe even the bases loaded with 2 outs. I think for sure second and third, and they got the kid, to not tie the game. Forgot if it was a fly. I think it might have been a fly out to left field or something like that. So this is a big upset, and great job by North Broward Prep, a school no strangers to go in the state playoffs and winning titles, but they are back headed to Fort Myers. And just to let you know, Calvary Christian Clearwater, they were 29-3. So we're talking about an elite team. Again, then the other, we talked about Miami Springs. They win in 3 against Gulliver Prep, 12-7. They're the road team. They were the 8th seed. Gulliver Prep was the 3rd seed. Win game 1, 12-7. Lose game 2 to Gulliver Prep 10-0. Chase Churn went 6 innings, allowing no runs. Jacob Lombard scored 3 runs in that game. Then in the deciding game 3, again Miami Springs 7-2 with Damian Villabril throwing 4 innings with 5 strikeouts, no runs. Azul Pena had 3 hits, and Jacob Lombard, the great player from Gulliver Prep, a kid who may go in the top 5 along with Gio Rojas. He had a home run in his last high school game. So congratulations to Jacob Lombard on an amazing prep career. And we look forward to covering you when you play pro ball, my friend. And then 1A, Schoolhouse Prep, a school I did see play this year. They won in 2 games against Brito, 7-3 game 1, 4-1 in game 2. In game 2, Jero Marchena went 5 innings with 4 strikeouts, no runs, or at least no earned runs. Neftali Fuentes in game 1 had 2 hits and 3 RBIs. And so, again, that was a really, really good job by Schoolhouse Prep. When I saw them early against American Heritage, I was like, this is a pretty darn good team. I want to, yes, we congratulate the teams moving forward, and we'll talk about them. I also do want to thank all the players and teams and coaches of the students that will be graduating and moving on. And, where do we want to start? I'll start with Morton, with West Broward. I saw those kids for 4 years, and seeing Mano and Ethan Lindor, Ivan, Ace, A-Dog, Reggie, Isaiah, these kids, amazing group. If my heart goes out to them for not getting to state, it was elusive to them. But just great kids, great baseball players. Every one of them has a college opportunity ahead. Coach Howard Stein and his staff are nothing but among the best, and they treat me well, and they're all big man on second fans and supporters. So I wish every one of them well. I got to talk about Chaminade. Spencer Krasner, Spence is, I will always be tight with Spence. I knew him when he was a freshman at American Heritage and his family, and I will look forward to covering his younger brother, Tyler. And Spencer will be going off to Florida State. Good luck to Spence. Appreciate you, man. And, sorry the way it went out for you. It's, you're such a great pitcher. It just didn't go your way in your final high school game, but does not take away. Then the seniors, AJ Vargas, AJ and his family, getting to meet them and great people. He's going to Miami-Dade, and he'll be a really good player there. Isaiah Fernandez, the catcher, and then so on, the kids that are leaving. So good luck to all of them. I appreciate you guys and all the support. Who else? How can I miss Archbishop McCarthy? Robert Kearns, a great football, baseball player. Miguel Delgado, to me, I think he could get drafted. Miggy, when he was a freshman, I was like, this kid was special. You could see it then. Garrett Duffy, and it goes down the line. It's good luck to all those guys as the McCarthy kids move on. Again, that's the sad part, but congrats to the teams that are moving forward. And just a little bit, I'm doing this podcast on Sunday. There was some weather up in the northern part of the state, so we didn't yet know all the teams that had won in advance. And I guess in the next day or two, we will know the matchups. So even though we know Douglas is going to the state champion or well, not yet. They hope I'm right. Are going to state semifinals. We don't know who they're matched up with, but I will give you the rundown of what I do have. Let's start with 1A. Here are the teams around the state. The St. John Country Day, they're moving on. Orangewood Christian, they're moving on. St. John Country Day beat St. John Paul II. Orangewood Christian beat Mount Dora in 2 games. Newman beat Canterbury in 3 games, 2-1. And then Schoolhouse Prep, as everyone knows down here, won their series 2-0, 2 wins to none. Let's take it to 2A, because this is the interesting one. This could affect, obviously, our 2A representatives. True North Classical, because Trinity Christian Academy has always been one of these schools that is destined to win a state title, but they were tied with Bishop Snyder. No slouch. Those are 1 and 2 seeds in that region. They were 1-1 going into Sunday. Lakeland Christian with the upset over the First Academy, a team that's they either won it all last year, or played for it. They were in state like 2 straight years, but they are not returning. Berkeley Prep. They knocked off Tampa Catholic in 3 games, 2-1. And of course, True North won against Chaminade 2-0. Let's take it over to 3A, where South Walton, they will probably be the number 1 seed. They won 2-0 against Sewanee. South Sumter upset Hernando 2-0. That was a 4 seed beating a 3. And then, as I noted earlier, North Broward Prep, the number 2 seed in their region, beat number 1 seed Calvary Christian. And then, of course, Miami Springs. Cat, do not come on here and mess up my podcast as I'm closing out. Do not bump up against me. Okay, and then we know Miami Springs beat Gulliver Prep. And then we go to 4A. Weather going on in the northern part. So Clay was beating the number 1 seed, which is Choctawhatchee, 1-0, and we'll see how that plays out. Bishop Moore eliminated Eustis. They swept them 2-0. Jesuit, the heavy favorites to win in 4A. They lost game 1, but came back with a vengeance and beat Osceola in games 2 and 3. And of course, we know that American Heritage beat Somerset. And again, the Somerset kids, I should mention them as well, with John Mora, just like I said, that might be the toughest out in the state. Great player. Brady Mungera, I got to know Brady from when he was at Pines Charter. He did a great job for them as well. And to all the kids at Somerset that are moving on, good luck to you guys as well. So now where are we? Let's go down to 5A. Tallahassee Lincoln, they were winning 1-0. That's another school that didn't play but one game, so they're gonna have to. We'll say hopefully the weather is okay today on Sunday, so we'll find out if Lincoln their lead won the first game against Niceville. Then you got Winter Springs and Wesley Chapel were tied a game apiece, and then you had Charlotte against Charlotte eliminated #1 seed Charlotte from Punta Gorda. They will be headed to Fort Myers. They eliminated Freedom, the #7 seed, in 3 games. And, of course, Mater Academy Charter from here. Take it up to 6A. And last year in the championship game, St. Thomas Aquinas beat Buchholz of Gainesville. Buchholz was the /2 seed. They beat Pace, the #1 seed. So they're going back to Fort Myers. Martin County upset Lake Mineola. They beat them in 3 games. They're a 5 seed beating a 2 seed. And then #3, Land O'Lakes took care of Sickles in 3 games, 2 games to 1. And as noted, St. Thomas Aquinas getting by Southridge in 3 games. And they'll take us to 7A. And this will kind of wrap it up. Haggerty, the #3 seed. They swept the #4 seed West Orange. Venice, which many, that's the team that's to beat. Douglas isn't considered the team to beat this year. Venice is. Venice swept Winter Haven. They won their 2 games. Vero Beach beat Parkview in 2 games. They swept them. And, of course, Doman Douglas eliminated West Broward in 3 games. So that's all the scoring and such. But, again, thanks to everyone for tuning in. This is our recap here. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We'll have a ton of content, like I said, on Wednesday. I'll be spending a week up there, so I'll have all the action. I'll, figure out how I'm going to, I might do like little short podcasts, little video clips of action with some analysis as well. But I'm looking forward to it. It's always a great time. If you have a chance to go to Fort Myers, they put on a great show. Plenty of tickets available because they seat like 10,000 people or 7,000 people or whatever it is. So it's huge. So that's never an issue. But if you get there, hydrate, which I'm doing now, because it will be hot. But I'm looking forward to seeing everybody and all the teams. Congratulations again to all the teams. The Elite 8 is amazing run. We're blessed to have so much great baseball here in South Florida. And I'm blessed to have such a great audience that's been loyal to the growth of Man on Second. I appreciate you all, and we will catch all of you in the next.